Right now on Upfront.
Dramatic downfall.
Stitched together in a backroom deal.
The tax relief deal negotiated by Democratic Governor Tony Evers and Republican leaders fails the state Senate. Democrats rejecting their sitting governor.
That's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Republicans hearing objections from Tom Tiffany.
And we have to work with the governors here because folks need help now.
This Sunday, inside the turbulent fallout, what it means for the race for governor. And our exclusive, our new interview one-on-one with Governor Tony Evers, his wide-ranging reaction just moments away.
Then, state party convention. Republicans gathering this weekend in Wisconsin Dells amid the fallout from the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. What it means in November. Republican Party of Wisconsin Chair Brian Schimming is here. And inside Police Week, the Wisconsin officers honored. A first-hand look as thousands gather in the nation's capital.
This is Upfront with Jaron Jordan and political director Matt Smith.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. A dramatic week at the state capitol. The tax relief deal negotiated by Democrat Governor Tony Evers and Republican leaders killed in the state Senate.
And now the governor is here to respond. What about the Senate? What do you know what's going on over there?
I'm not in the state Senate. You'd have to ask them.
You know what's going on with negotiations, though.
I am an eternal optimist.
The optimism faded as the hours ticked on Wednesday. Lawmakers attempting to secure enough votes in the state Senate to pass the sweeping tax relief deal. The deal, which passed the Assembly, would have sent rebate checks to Wisconsinites, invest hundreds of millions of dollars in schools to reduce property taxes, fund special education, and eliminate taxes on tips and overtime.
It's a turkey that was put together by a bunch of lame ducks.
Senate Minority Leader Dianne Hesselbein able to hold all 15 Democrats to a no vote, a majority of the Democrat candidates for governor opposing the deal.
Is this a message to the governor tonight as much as it is to Republicans?
No, it's a message to the people of Wisconsin.
Republican candidate Tom Tiffany also blasting the plan, comparing the rebate checks to chicken feed, a position set to have weighed heavily on Senate Republicans.
Well, look, if Tom Tiffany were governor, we would have a much different bill before us.
And now the aftermath, the deal backed by Governor Evers, who we sat down with Friday in his first interview since the deal fell apart. Bring me inside. How did this all implode?
It's all politics. I mean, it really was. We worked with the leadership, the majority leadership in both houses, had things in a place where I thought, everybody thought that we'd be in good shape. You know, in the Assembly, it did work out that way. In the Senate, it did not. And, you know, we could blame Tom Tiffany because he reached out to people. But at the end of the day, it's probably not worth, you know, whatever he does in his spare time isn't really germane to me. But it's just politics of the day. And, you know, and the thing that, I am a school person, and seeing that go down was a real, it was hard to believe that we couldn't get this done. And I hear it from superintendents already. I mean, they are absolutely beside themselves. I got a call this morning from a superintendent saying, I am so frustrated with this. And then we had Democrats saying, well, you know, you wait 2 years, you might get something, right? But what does that mean? And so it's a mess. It didn't work, and I'm not sitting around blaming anybody, frankly. But we had a deal, and it just fell apart, and life goes on, I guess.
If you did have to blame someone, who would it be?
Well, you know, the Tiffany thing sure didn't help when he's corralling people, saying, you know, if you vote for this, you're going to be in a bad place, and you're going to be in a bad, whatever he was saying.
Yeah.
You know. And that played a role. But at the end of the day, we had Democrats on the Senate side that basically were saying we can't support this because of various things that. Frankly, I'm shocked that they would say we don't want to do this for schools. That's bad. That's bad politics for Democrats in the Senate, and I was shocked at that.
When you announced this on Monday, were you confident the votes were there to pass both the Assembly and Senate?
Certainly, no question. no question. That was a done deal, and after that, it kind of fell apart. So it's politics. It's as simple as that. It's not good at the state level. It's not good at the national level, and as a result of that, and I'll just go right to the school piece again, because that's where I spend my head spends most of that time. Is we're messing with kids' lives here, and to think that it's going to help to have Democratic senators say to their folks, oh, by the way, you're not going to get that money, even though it's already there. We can make it happen. It hurts. It hurts me, and it hurts kids, and it hurts me because it hurts kids.
Those votes, did those include Democrats' votes in the Senate? Did you have any secured earlier in the week?
No. I mean, there was no need, and then by the time we realized that the Democrats aren't going to be moving in the same direction that we anticipate, then it was over.
I mean, as the Democratic governor, how could you not get any Democrats in the Senate to vote yes with you?
Because they believe that somehow putting money back into people's pockets that are struggling financially across the state, apparently they don't believe that that's an issue. They're going to say, well, we're going to fix it next time when all these wonderful things happen after Evers is gone, and we'll get a new governor, and we'll have Democrats all over the place. That's fine. That's a wish list, and who knows whether that's going to happen. But they're impacting kids right now. They're impacting children right now. Bad place for Democrats to be.
Is this going to impact Democrats in November?
I think so.
Negatively?
I don't know how you can say to a superintendent, a school board member, I heard it yesterday. I heard it yesterday. I heard it this morning. I heard it the day before. How can you say, well, I didn't want you to have that money because what's the answer? I just think they put themselves in an untenable position. They're going to have to work real hard to get those votes.
As the week went on, I want to read a couple phrases that were used to describe this deal. A con of election year gimmicks, a payday loan put together by a bunch of lame ducks. One lawmaker even wore a duck tie, a Democrat. Reckless proposal stitched together in a back room. These were all Democrats.
Right, I understand. And we did make this together with the Assembly and Senate leaders. They're leaders, and so and they promised that they'd have enough votes on the Senate side, and they didn't. So politics reign supreme in the state of Wisconsin, and it's not that I'm leaving office just thinking this has just been this is the worst thing ever, but it damn near is. When people say that they don't have the willingness to get some money to schools when they could, that's a bad place to be.
Are you going to campaign for any of these candidates who either voted against it or said some not so nice things about you?
I don't know. They probably don't want me to.
What does that say about the state of the Democratic Party?
It says something bad about politics, on the Republican side and the Democratic side. It's broken. We have to fix it. I don't think we're going to fix it anytime soon, but hopefully they do.
Still planning not to endorse in the primary?
For sure.
This didn't change your mind?
Yeah, no.
In any capacity?
No, this doesn't make any difference.
To those Republicans who said, listen, the property tax relief was only needed because of your 400-year veto.
Oh, show me the data that support that. I mean, they're all frustrated about that veto, and frankly, that is not the reason they did what they did. They did what they did is because Tom Tiffany and others put the pressure on.
Have you talked to any of the Democratic leaders since the vote?
No, I don't think so. We'll talk sometime. Yeah, they'll hear it. They'll hear it too from their school districts.
The governor is also looking ahead to November and his final months in office.
We heard this past week that the FBI attempted to interview one of the top election officials in Milwaukee County about the 2020 election.
Yeah.
They interviewed someone from the Elections Commission. I'm curious just your thoughts on that, and are you aware of any widespread FBI activity here in the state?
No, I'm not. And that, you think about how bizarre that was. Okay, we want to talk to one of the election people, and we'll just go to their house and leave a card. I mean, that is like, it's like amateur night. But to answer your question, no, I haven't heard it, but we are adequately prepared, and I won't tell you what pieces are in place, but we're prepared to make sure that our elections happen the way they always do, safely, and so we're going to be.
You're talking about this upcoming November.
Yes.
Plans have been discussed.
Yes, for sure. We have plans to if they show up, we will be there to make sure that they are asking for what they have access to, but also making sure that they're not doing what they shouldn't do.
And by they, you mean the federal government?
Correct.
Let's talk about sports betting for a quick second.
Yeah.
How are the compacts coming?
I think good. I talked with a group of leaders of the nation, Native nations in the state on a regular basis. We had a conversation the other night, and we're going to continue that. So it's going to be compact, time-wise and otherwise. But I think we're in a good place. I mean, the concern I've always had, and I've said this out loud enough times, that we have to make sure that there's some equity in this. We have some Native nations that have more resources than others, and so whatever we can do to balance that out.
Is there a timeline on that?
Well, I know they're hoping to get something done before I leave office, so we'll see. We'll see.
You just put out your executive order in terms of prediction markets like Kalshi and Coinbase and state employees betting on that. Were there any issues, or was this preventative?
Preventative. Yeah, no question. No, there were no issues that I'm aware of, but we just wanted to make sure that we were not in a bad place there.
You told me you're not going to endorse. I'm curious just your thoughts on the primary as you're watching this play out from afar.
Yeah, interesting, because when I first ran, there was 20 of us that when I first ran the first time, and this seems so quiet. It's just amazing. I mean, back then, I can remember we were up in Eau Claire with 20 of us on the podium, and the moderator said, "Okay, here's the first question." 20 people answered, and he said, "Okay, we're out of time." And so there was just a lot of stuff, and maybe it's because I was involved personally, but it seems way too quiet.
All right, up next, the Republican State Party Convention happening this weekend. The race now to November, fallout from the spring election. State Party Chairman Brian Schimming is with us next.